Today, I get that. I hold off too if I can, if it's super humid. I love R&D and just trying new things. I wish I could make a living off of it. My favorite flavor to eat though, hello from Sacramento. Favorite flavor to eat, it really depends on my mood, but usually a salted caramel. Honestly, I change all the time. A peanut butter macaron, that's good too. Pistachio. Pistachio is probably, it's just a classic one that you can't go wrong with. Hello from Colombia. To my, if you are in, how long have I been making macarons? Sorry, I need to stop doing the sing-song thing. The first time I made them was in 2010 in pastry school. And then I didn't start making them in my home until 2016, end of 2016. Hello from Saudi Arabia. Jelly, yes, Jams 101. That's something I love to do, and it's intricate. I wish I could actually have a hands-on class with people for that. But I would love to make a video on that. Yeah, that's a great idea. With everything going on right now in the world, I just wanted to share a resource that I thought was really helpful. If you want to check into it, I don't want to feel preachy or anything, but the Equal Justice Initiative, so it's EJI, Equal Justice, yeah, EJI.org is a really great place to start. And they're just all about savory jams. Oh, savory jams. They're all about protecting the rights of humans, vulnerable humans, people of color in the United States. It's from the author of Just Mercy. So that became a movie with Michael B. Jordan. Let's see if my words can come out. He's the author of the book for that. He's a lawyer. So Brian Stevenson, I think. I don't want to mess up his name. But yeah, if you guys want to check out that, EJI.org. Flavor cards. I don't, but I've bought from, I want to watch the video too this weekend. It's free. They were very generous and made it free because it just came out in theaters. So yeah, let me go back here. So I don't make flavor cards. That's what I was gonna say. And I have ordered from bakeries that do, and it's really cool to have them, and I love that. I just didn't have the monetary funds to have those produced because I change my menu so much, but I love how big companies put the picture of the macaron and the flavor of it, if that's what you mean. They're really cool. When you order from big online companies, you'll get that. I don't do online classes. No, I do in-home pastry parties, and I haven't ventured out besides YouTube to home, like one-on-one or anything like that. I don't have a space either to do it like actual classes as of now. All right, someone wants to get started on baking. All right, I might have missed some of your guys' questions, but we can get started. So right now I'm doing 55%, so 0.55 of my original recipe, or the one that's on my macaron tutorial. We've got 72 grams of powdered sugar, 72 grams of almond flour. Those are our dries. We're gonna have 55 grams of egg whites. We'll be using our mixer, hand mixer again. This is the Cuisinart. And then I've got 50 grams of sugar, and 1 gram I put some egg white powder in today, and it's mixed in already. Nice to see you again too. Again, egg white powder I use, it's backwards for you guys, it's called Judy's. 100% dried egg whites. It just is for strengthening your meringue without, it's adding protein without any type of liquid. Hello guys. Okay, so for those who are tuning in for the first time, what I do is I'm going to not talk while I mix just because it's too loud, but I will be putting my mixer on, sprinkling in my sugar once it's foamy, and mixing to stiff peaks. The first two colors that you guys tell me, I will make those today. I'll split my batter into two, and we can make two different colors. You good, Isla? Okay, it's nice and foamy. Sprinkling in my sugar. I'll bring you guys closer. If only I could rewind. I'm on the lowest speed right now. Boba macarons would be so good. I don't know how you would do it though. It'd get soggy, wouldn't it? Yellow and teal. Orange, purple, blue. Orange and pink it is. Turning it up to speed 2. I'm trying, yeah. Okay. I'm turning it up to speed 3. not done yet, but I wanted to show you guys that they're nice and glossy. They stand up at a peak, but they're still flipping over. So I'm gonna go a little bit longer. Make sure you get the sides of your bowl when you're using a hand mixer so nothing is too liquid and soft on the outside. All right, guys, so there's our stiff peak that we want. See how it's sticking straight up in that bowl? I don't know if you can see with the lighting. Yeah, any hand mixer will do. Let's see. Let me get back to a good position that you can see everything. Yeah, so any hand mixer will do. This one is a Cuisinart. And you guys, the first two were orange and pink. So we will get, we can do, how about one powdered color and one liquid color so you guys can see both. Here is a Americolor electric pink. And then I'll get a powdered orange from the Sugar Art. Lime. Sunshine. Orange. Okay, and then we've got, this is from the Sugar Art. Sorry, the lighting. And it's just orange powder color. So we'll do both. And then I'm gonna put in my dries. I love that you're always baking with me, JC. I wish we could be together. Okay. Stiff, peaks, dry ingredients mixed together thoroughly. I put them in 2 editions for this small of a batch. I don't get perfect feet every time. I promise. I tried flipping the pan over. So you probably didn't get enough heat to the bottom of your pan if you have concave shells, and that can happen because it's not conducting heat as well. Maybe turn for your oven, sorry, I'm on my toes. For your oven, turn up the heat if you want to try flipping it around. If you tend to have cracked shells, you can try it one more time with higher heat. So I just mixed it in roughly so I don't see any more dry, and I'm going to add my second addition. Again, this was 72 grams of both almond flour and confectioner sugar. I'm going to need this for splitting my batter into 2 though. I'll read your guys' comments or questions in a second, because once these are piped, I can go through your questions. So I am just going around my bowl. I will show you, I'll show you guys. I'm gonna just go around my bowl, into it a little bit in the middle and over. Make sure you get all that excess off your spat. And just keep going around, trying carefully not to deflate. Oh yay, silicone mats are so great for holding the shape of macarons. So you just keep working at it. It looks wrong. It looks like you're not doing the right thing because it's just all cloudy and the dries don't look like they're gonna incorporate well. Just keep mixing the dries in. We're gonna be mixing our colors in after. So because I'm splitting my batter. So I'm trying really hard not to deflate too much right now. And I just want to mix evenly the dries into my meringue blob. Okay, so if you can see this, it's just, you know, it's not fluid or anything. It's just the dries are incorporated into my meringue. It really depends on your oven for which surface you're gonna bake on. So I'm just gonna split it in half. It's a small batch, so it's not gonna make a ton. And then we will put our colors in. So let's do our Sugar Art Yellow first. I mean orange, I'm sorry, orange. These colors are Master Elites. They are great because you're not adding too much moisture in meringue into you're not adding too much moisture into your recipe. So I've got maybe 1/8 of a teaspoon. It might be even too much, we'll see. And then I will try to show you guys. Let me get you closer again. Mixing these dries in. I always if you're new, I recommend using dries in your meringue directly to macarons. But if you feel comfortable, if you're mixing dries into your meringue at this stage, or your batter at this stage, you want to make sure you continue to not deflate purposefully and just kind of mix it in first. And then I will start purposefully deflating, or macaronaging as they call it, once I feel like it's incorporated well. Or else you're gonna be incorporating and deflating at the same time, and then you're not going to, your batter's gonna be deflated enough and it's gonna look marbled still. So be really careful when you're first mixing it in. So I feel like it's pretty good. Now I'm gonna purposefully push it out, go around, push it out, around, and I'm constantly doing like a little quarter turn with my bowl as well. Looks like sherbet, orange sherbet. I will read your questions and comments, guys. Sorry about that. So see how it's getting nice and incorporated, and still it's not ready yet. Still not flowing like we want it to flow. So someone asked, how do we know when it's ready? It really depends on the recipe for how flowy it's going to be. But for this recipe, which is based off of Indulge with Mimi, or Indulge, now I'm like blanking. Indulge by Mimi or with Mimi? Either way, we probably all know her, right? And Indulge with, I think it's with. This one is, so the recipe that she uses is so thick and it mimics an Italian meringue. So that's why I love it so much, because Italian meringues are sturdier than a French meringue. Her ratio of sugar to egg whites and then the dries is just really nice. So, oh my goodness, it's late in Iceland. So we've got this really nice batter to work with. Another recipe that I have used is one with way more confectioner sugar to almond flour, and that means also that the regular granulated sugar is decreased in the meringue, and then that is going to make it more flowy because the actual batter is not going to be as thick, if that makes sense. Okay, we're pretty good here. See how it's flowing down? Let me try one more time to just evenly distribute it. When I'm talking, I don't know if I'm doing a very good job. Okay. See how it's flowing, but yet it's still thick? That's where you want it to be. Some people count strokes. Some people count how long it takes for it to meld in. Some people will try a figure 8. It really depends on your recipe and what you feel works for U. Can you do a figure 8 method? Ready? So you want to be able to do a whole figure 8 without it breaking. So we're good. Okay. Let me put that in my piping bag. And then we'll switch to that electric pink from Americolor. Making a mess on myself. Okay, just gonna push all that batter down so it's ready to pipe. This will probably, the tip will fall through, but I'll push it back up. Okay, let's do the Americolor electric pink. Aw, thank you. I know I do talk a lot, and I'm not very, there we go, one blob. I'm not very concise and quick, so that's just me. Okay, so we're working this in. Gels are easier at this stage to incorporate, but both do work, powders and gels. Excuse my finger. So I'm gonna do the same and just kind of incorporate it a bit before I start purposefully deflating. Clean up my spatula. It's a mess in here. Wilton brand, I have, that was the first brand I bought at home because I didn't want to use the expense and like pay for good, or I guess not good, but pay for the higher quality colors, but they really do make a difference. Wilton brand I have not been super successful with either, or impressed by. They do brown in my oven as well and fade in color. So look at this color. It's so bright. That blob of that one drop was a lot, but it's amazing how deep the color gets. So I'm just circling around, pushing down. And then every once in a while, I check to see how it's flowing. Clean off your spatula, check, you know, that kind of stuff. Get all the way at the bottom too. If you notice, I'm kind of like really scraping the bottom. You do not want to realize the top of your batter is ready and then the bottom half is just sitting there the whole time. So this is good. See that flow? What brand of coloring do you use? This was Americolor. The one I showed previously was the Sugar Art. I also like Chef Master gel colors and Chef Rubber powder colors. Those are my top 4 colors. All right. So we've got our 2 things. One sec, I saw someone say something about Sugar Art. But they're taking their time. Oh, yeah, the dang mail takes so much longer right now. Okay, let me guys put you over to, oh, thank you. Put you over to our table where we can pipe. And I'm gonna show you guys, well, let me pipe first and then I'll show you guys. So I have my big mat so I don't have to bake multiple trays. I do have a number of other mats here that I wanted to share with you guys because I get that asked a lot, which kind of mats I like best. I also have this French steel sheet pan that I love, and I will explain more about that too because I get asked about all these things. So first, let's pipe. Then I will go back and read. Business is non-existent. Someone asked how business is going. Okay, so this pan is unfortunately warped, but I'm gonna try to not get lopsided shells today. So we're going with our pink first. I've got a 6mm tip in here. It's smaller than I usually do, so it's pretty small. But I'm gonna just hold steady in one spot and let the batter do the work and move out to the second to last dotted line on my template. These mats you can find on Amazon. Unfortunately, right now I've been told they're only available in Canada. Because of COVID, Amazon hasn't been restocking. They've been prioritizing medical supplies. So hopefully soon they will restock baking supplies. So right now Canadians can get these if you so please. Let's see, they say my macarons on it, but I forget how to, Valesco I think is the brand. Okay, this pink is so pretty. Yes, and it's a 2/3 sheet. This pan right here is a 2/3 sheet pan, and it will fit in a home oven unless you have like a small European style oven. I can measure it later if we need to, but there. So we've got the pink, and now we'll do the orange. This is a 9mm tip. I find it easier to use. It is faster, and it doesn't push out the batter as much. It takes so much more effort to push out the little tips, so I feel like the batter gets even more worked in your piping bag. But if you're an under mixer, that's a good thing. So it really depends on personal preference. But I like a 9 or a 10mm tip the best. I just unfortunately lost my 10mm tip in the garbage disposal the other day. The worst. Okay, trying to get it all out. We'll tap the trays and then I will check on questions. I just like to hit it. And you'll see like little bubbles kind of pop, if you can see that, right? And that's how you know you're getting those air bubbles out. And then I'll take my scribe, if I have a big bubble left over, and just kind of close it back up, I guess, smooth it out. And the ones that didn't pop, you are good to pop if you want before it dries. If you wait till the macaron skin forms and then you try to pop or smooth out, it makes a disaster. So do it quickly if you want to. But I don't usually do this. These colors are so fun. They're like summer. Summer. Okay. So. I'm gonna get obsessive if I keep doing it. That's why I don't even start usually, because I won't be able to stop. So, let me see what you guys are saying. Let me turn on my oven to preheat. I turn on my fan over the oven just to circulate air, because do you guys see how small my kitchen is? Like, that's it. So you know what? I've never made homemade almond flour, and I feel like it's difficult to not leach out the oils when you do it. But if you know how to do it without making it excessively oily, I don't see what would be different about it. You might need to play a little bit around with your measurements and just see if, you know, you need to switch anything and make little adjustments here and there with your dries and your wets. But like every different product I use, I have to switch a little bit. But it's just definitely a trial and error. Okay, let me look at these questions. Miriam, don't worry about it. We're all here to have a good time, so no worries. So Lauren, someone asked before, Lauren asked if I use carton or fresh egg whites. So when I am doing large production, when I used to do the farmer's market, which I've stopped right now, and I have a lot of orders, I use both. I'll do a combination, mostly carton egg whites, and then I top it off with fresh. I like the combo of things. I feel like it yields a better result, as well as not wasting as much yolk. Lauren, and then she asked or said that her Macs are cracking a lot. Are you using only carton egg whites? My piping bags, they are from the Flower Girl shop. Shop the Flower Girl. I have sung my praises about them, so I hope no one's getting sick of hearing them, but I know it's backwards. But this material, when I first switched to reusable piping bags, it was making my hands hurt. This material is so malleable, it's easy to pipe with and so easy to clean. Buttercreams as well. Hello from France. Buttercreams as well as macaron batter out of these. I highly recommend them, and you're helping the environment out. They almost feel like silicone, but they're a different material that is better for the environment. I don't recall what it is, but yeah, if you go shoptheflowergirl.com. Yeah, so Lauren, I noticed that too when I did full egg whites from cartons, I would get cracks as well. I feel like maybe it decreased the strength of the meringue, having them carton egg whites, I don't know. So that's why I really like to do a combination of them as well. And you can check back at my macaron tutorial. I have the ratio that I use there of I don't remember, it's been way too long, but I usually do about 2/3 to 1/3 carton to fresh. So if someone asked way earlier if we're adding flavor to our shells, at what point do you do so? I am not an advocate of adding flavor to your shells. If you want to, do it in the dries, so like freeze-dried fruits or something, or matcha powder or anything, tea leaves, ground up, that kind of stuff in your dries. If you're gonna add a liquid into the mix, I would do it at the very end with your color, but I don't recommend that. I love how everyone's from everywhere. Oh my goodness. Someone has a spatula question. You can add, this is so dirty right now. Hello from the Philippines. I tried the recipe and it was cracked. There could be so many different things that can make cracked shells, so just make sure you have a nice sturdy meringue. I feel like the sturdier your meringue, the harder your shell is gonna be, and not allow those cracks. So work on the meringue. Make sure your recipe doesn't have too much liquid in it, or you like drop some water into it by accident. If you wash your hands and then go to pipe, it could, you know, leach water somewhere or drip water. Temple City, you're close. And also just make sure your oven's not too high if you're getting cracked shells. I do have a troubleshooting video you guys can check out, if anyone else, what makes it more sturdy, more air. Amanda, I think really what makes your shell the sturdiest is having a super sturdy meringue, which the protein powder will help, the egg white powder will help, or if you want to stabilize your meringue with a cream of tartar, those types of things. Yeah, stiffer meringue. Yes, perfect. Okay, I'm kind of up higher in the chat, so let me get down. What technique do I use to give a more professional look? I don't know exactly what the professional look is, if it's more of like the straight feet that a silicone mat gives, but I feel like a silicone mat really helps have those really pretty uniform feet, whereas a parchment gives the more ruffled feet. But I feel like ruffled looks really professional as well, so correct me if I'm not answering your question properly. You can substitute egg white, I wouldn't substitute egg white powder for cream of tartar, but you can replace and put some, you don't have to put egg white powder in. A lot of people ask me that, and you don't have to go out and buy egg white powder, especially if it's harder to find where you are. Don't spend the extra money, especially right now with the economy not doing so well. Just make sure you age your egg whites then, if you're not going to add your protein powder, or I keep calling it protein powder, your dried egg whites. This is pure 100% dried egg whites, and the whole point of adding this into your meringue is to increase protein. So if you see in here, if you look at the ingredient or the nutritional facts, it's all protein. There's really nothing else in here. It's protein. It's the albumin of your egg whites. And so the protein's going to strengthen your meringue. It causes a tighter network of molecules, and you can also get that by aging your egg whites. Yeah, my egg whites sat out all night because I was supposed to make some macarons last night and I didn't. So they were just sitting out with a top on it, with poked holes at room temperature. Egg whites will not develop bacteria. The yolk will. Okay, so let's get, so for hollow shells, let's see if, so quick cookie, hopefully that's how you, pronounce it. You said that every time you make macs, they don't have a meringue. I mean, they don't have feet, right? And a lot of times, the reason for not developing your feet is actually not having a strong enough meringue. So you could try getting a stiffer meringue. You could try egg white powder if you don't already, or cream of tartar if someone wants to. I never have a problem with adding cream of tartar and egg white powder. Cream of tartar is to stabilize, whereas egg white powder is to strengthen. So they work on different ways, and you could totally double up. I just never purchase it. And then also, yeah, you know what, with the way that you said they also crack and they're soft, it sounds like a meringue issue. And maybe too low of an oven temperature, even though your color's fading, so that's where I'm a little uncertain. But you might want to increase your oven temperature with those soft tops. That could also be it if you don't believe it's your meringue. Oh, so Trang, you tried it without egg white powder and it didn't work. I would love to know what the issue was without it. Someone asked if there's an oven that is great for macarons. You know what, I would say it's very difficult to generalize with the ovens because I haven't worked with all of them. I had great experience with a commercial grade convection oven when I was in pastry school and working at restaurants and bakeries. I don't remember the producers of those. I think any oven can do it as long as you play around, and some of them you have to jump through a ton of hoops and it gets very, very exhausting, but you can figure it out. If your oven comes from, you just have to figure out where your oven heat comes from, where to place your macs in your oven, and things you might have to put in addition in your oven, like a tray to help even heating or something. But I think any oven can do it. I do prefer convection ovens though, but I've also heard some people say their convection setting is not good. So it's really hard to generalize. I'm sorry. Dory asked if she can use brown sugar. Brown sugar has molasses in it, which is going to be a little bit more moist, but I would love to try that out. I feel like that would be such a great additional flavor in there. I know some people have browned, or what's the word I'm looking for? Roasted their sugar to make it more flavorful, and you could try that too if brown sugar doesn't work. Caramelize their sugar. Is that, no, because you don't want it to be, I guess, roasted sugar. So Erica is asking how much to lower your oven if you're having hollows. So I feel like a lower temperature actually increases the likelihood of hollow macarons. So if you're struggling with hollows, maybe you need to increase it. It depends on where you're at actually, because if you have a super high temperature, your cookie's gonna rise real fast, and all of the batter comes out in the feet, and then you do have hollows. But if you have too low of a temperature, it's going to produce hollows as well. So what temperature are you baking at now, I guess, is what I need to ask you. So Tina asked what's the secret to super white macarons, and honestly, it might be, I have a few friends that do different things. My oven just does white macarons well, surprisingly, because it's a piece of poop. But if you do a fairly low temperature, like 280, and you bake low and slow, and then at the very end where you tend to brown, you can add a piece of parchment over it. So you want to make sure your feet are developed fully before you put something on top. But put a piece of parchment over it to keep it from browning if you're browning from the top. If you're browning from the bottom, then maybe you need to, at some point in the bake, put toasted, thank you Kevin, toasted sugar. If your heat comes from the bottom and you're worried you're not getting brown, you're getting brown white macs on the bottom, you can move your tray up. Okay, here, I have so many questions. Your mom loves them. I mean, they're so great because they're so expensive, and if you can make them at home, it saves you so much money. But if you're throwing away all the batches, it doesn't end up saving you money, right? So it's a catch-22. Okay, so I'm touching these macs. They are dry. My oven is preheated at 300. I'm gonna put them in. I'm gonna turn my oven down to 275. And then set for 11 minutes, and then I'll turn it, and then 10 to 11 more minutes depending on what we need. So in like 2 minutes, I will check inside the oven, see what's going on, make sure my oven didn't jump, because sometimes it jumps up really high, and just to make sure everything's doing well. Hi from Russia. Also, someone asked if they have a chocolate recipe, a chocolate macaron recipe, how to convert it to a regular or another flavor. You know what, you can just omit the chocolate powder and add in half almond flour, half confectioner sugar, and that probably will make it to a regular almond macaron. And then you can figure out what else you want to add. If you want to add some pistachio flour, you can take out 30 grams of almond flour and put in 30 grams of pistachio flour. You always just want to keep the ratio of dries to wet the same as your original recipe. Today's filling, I am actually not going to fill. I'll just do shells with you guys. And I know it doesn't sound cohesive, but we're just going to do, just because they get so long when we have to wait for the baking, that we'll just bake the shells today. So my oven temperature gauge fell down to the bottom of my oven, so now I can't really tell the accurate reading of my oven, but we'll see. When your oven thermometer moves to the bottom, it's going to read a little bit too hot. Okay. Crema tartar on Italian method, yeah, I don't see why that would negative or adversely react with anything in the ingredients. Someone asked, is 275 what my oven is actually at? No, great question. I turned my oven down to 275. I always forget to specify this. Thank you. I always turn it down because my specific oven rises to like 50 degrees. So I'm speaking Fahrenheit right now. It rises about 50 degrees when I put in a tray. So what I do is I decrease the oven temp as soon as I put my max in to make sure my temperature stays around 290 to 300 Fahrenheit. My oven has no fan on it. I can turn off that annoying fan now because there's no more. That's what I love about doing one tray, is that it all goes in at the same time. When I do multiple trays, when I take out the first tray that's baked, I wait about 3 minutes for my oven to just to regulate, I guess, back to, I keep it at 275, it just keeps running hot. And then when I put the second tray in, I don't do anything. I keep it at 275, but I do allow my oven to rest about 3 to 5 minutes before I put in a second tray because it does jump still. Hello from Egypt. Also, if I do double trays at a time, so that's when I will put in one, like my last live, I put one tray in, I bake it halfway, and then I flip it and put a second tray in. And my oven tends to go up too, so sometimes I have to decrease, but I just watch it. You kind of have to babysit your oven if you can't trust it. So someone asked, they said they want to see the pistachio macaron recipe. Spoiler alert, I just use almond flour. I don't spend money to get pistachio flour. I just do a delicious filling that I haven't shared yet, but I really, you know, my fillings are my livelihood. They're what makes Max unique, and I still sell them. So Celsius would be, I preheat at 150, and then let me ask Alexa. Alexa. She's not plugged in all the way. But maybe, I feel like pistachio filling will come soon, okay? I feel it, because so many people ask this. Alexa, What's 275 Fahrenheit in Celsius? She's thinking because I just plugged her back in. Is it better to undermix the batter? Let me keep reading. Sorry, guys. There's lots of questions, so thank you for engaging. 135. Someone else answered it. Thank you. Because Alexa is not working. Can't ever trust those robots. Okay. Somebody asked if I have tried lavender shells. Like, you mean using ground up lavender in my shells? I have not, but that sounds amazing if it doesn't get too potent. With the honey buttercream, that sounds yummy. What's the easiest filling to make? I feel like ganaches are really easy. My ganache is a little more involved, but if you just do a melt chocolate chips and put some cream in it, then you're gonna have a good filling. I prefer, for selling, I like to do buttercreams, and I think American buttercream's super easy. Ooh, I've never tried cotton candy macarons. I think Get Suckered is a good brand. I need to venture out in the flavoring world, because I was kind of a stickler and tried to do most of my own flavors and not like artificial flavors. But cotton candy sounds so yummy. And I hear Get Suckered has really great things if you want to check them out. I haven't tried them, but a close friend said she loves their flavoring. I smell... I can't tell what temperature it's at, so I hope it's not too high because I smell the almond flour. My feet are short and brown. So short feet can be a result of a few things. You could try resting longer. With small feet, you could try whipping your meringue a little bit more to a stiffer peak, and a higher temperature. But if you're browning as well, the temperature one probably is not your best bet. Okay. Lychee. Someone asked where I get my flavoring from. So I have shared, I really like Amaretti. If you do want to get a flavor that's already made. This is mango Amaretti. So good. Tastes very, it doesn't taste fake. It doesn't taste artificial. It's really good. Their quality of flavors are very nice. This is the Artisan Natural Flavors. They also have a grapefruit, which is super good in macarons because it's nice and tart with the shell. Oh, I'm so glad you enjoy the channel and you find it useful, because that is what it's all about, is helping. This is my passion. I really love sharing it with you guys. So thank you for engaging, and I'm sorry I'm not getting through all of your questions quick enough. Someone said just plain jam. I have just jam macarons. I don't know if I missed a comment before that, but it does make, it's a more wet filling. So they don't have as long as a shelf life. So just watch out for that. But I love plain jam with macarons. Or like a cassis. You almost make like a pâte de fruits, or like a jelly. Like you cook your jam down even more and put more pectin in, and you get like a candy fruit filling, and it's really good. So Team K asked if it's better to undermix your your batter a little bit before putting it in. If you're having trouble with your batter spreading, then yeah, I would definitely say so. If you're using a small tip, like the pink one I use, the small one, it's gonna be worked a lot as it pushes out. So you could definitely try undermixing a little bit. I like to get to that fluid consistency, but it's still thick with this recipe. So then I feel like it's able to get a little bit more worked as it comes out. But I don't try to undermix, if that makes sense. $10,000 macarons. Oh my goodness. I don't even, in my one home oven, I wonder how long that would take. I would be working day and night. Marlo said, okay, let's see how these are doing. They look really good, guys. I'm gonna quickly show you and then I gotta close it up. But they're looking nice. It's in the middle of the oven. Someone asked earlier about best placement. I'm gonna set for 9 more minutes and just check them. But someone asked like best placement to put your macarons in your oven, and it really depends on where your heat source comes from. So make sure you know, but I usually tend to do middle of the oven. Whew, I'm like winded. Okay. So someone was saying their Macs used to be good and now they're having issues. I mean, I have done that too, where you just go through a dry spell and you feel like you can't do anything right. I always think, number one, what's my weather like? If it's less dry than usual, then that's usually something that you have to look into. Get a dehumidifier if you don't have a air conditioner to blast. Close all your windows if it's humid, and just try to dry out your environment. Number two thing, I think of my products I'm using. If anything's switched, if I've opened a new bag, I've had some almond flour bags with Kirkland just be completely awful. Cracks, I couldn't get any Macs to turn out with them. You might want to return the bag and get a new one. So you could think temperature and products. If it's not you and you know how to do it, I would definitely look at those two things. Mini macarons, yeah, those would be fun. I love anything mini. It makes it cuter. Okay. Yeah, the colors you guys chose are really, really pretty. So someone said they live in Phoenix, which is really dry. I think dry is best for macarons. That is probably the perfect weather to do Macs in. Tina asked if my Macs always come out full, and no, they do not. I usually have a nice gap in between the shell and the what I call the meat of the cookie. Usually it's due to my lower heat in my oven and the silicone mat. And it fills up once you fill your macaron and mature it. I don't worry too much about hollow shells unless it's a fragile top and like absolutely no meat to your cookie. Someone asked who the cute piping bags are from, and they're from Shop the Flower Girl. So if you go shoptheflowergirl.com, her name's Lindsay, and she has these piping bags are amazing. Someone asked about their Macs. 14-year-old. Lee, good thing you have a lot of time to practice. You're so young. That's awesome that you're tackling macarons. I love how many people from a younger generation are starting to bake such intricate things like macarons. I definitely didn't even know what a macaron was until I was probably in college. So that's amazing. So why does my batter spread out? You're probably over mixing, or your meringue wasn't strong enough in the beginning to keep together, and it just is kind of like your batter's disintegrating as time goes on. So you're just definitely going to want to work on your meringue, nice and stiff and strong, sturdy meringue, and not over mixing your batter. Brown spots. Are your brown spots like an oily spot on? So Maria said her brown spots have, JC, you're amazing. I did not even know what a macaron was at 12. Embarrassing. But for brown spots, if you're having, okay, like oil, Maria is having issues with browning on her macarons, and not browning, sorry, brown spots. So the oil spots. You know what? I've had a few people say this, and I don't know if other countries, like, are you baking in the United States? I guess I should say, because I feel like some products might be different. Like our confectioner sugar or powdered sugar in the United States has cornstarch in it, and I wonder if that could be a problem if yours doesn't automatically have it in, if you need to like add a little bit in it. Because I feel like cornstarch would, Miami. Okay, so humid. Let's see here then. What kind of almond flour do you use? And no skin form. Enrique, yeah, not having your max not dry. Kirkland flour. Okay, let me think about this. Having your max not dry is definitely an issue of it being too wet, or in the actual recipe, or in the air, or not having a strong enough meringue as well, because it kind of makes it more wet and your batter doesn't, your batter isn't as sturdy. So maybe working on, as I'm reading, you guys, I'm losing my train of thought. I don't know what I was saying. Let me read. I don't know. You don't have to age your egg whites. Sorry, I smell them. It says 2 more minutes on my timer, but I smell them. Again, my nose just, so I'm gonna check them with my finger. They are definitely not done, so I'll leave them in for the 2 more minutes. Brands, yeah, overbeaten. Sorry guys, lost my train of thought. Kirkland flour, I actually stopped using because it was inconsistent, and I do use Blue Diamond now, which I've heard is the same. Like, I heard Kirkland uses Blue Diamond, but I haven't had the issues I was having with Kirkland since last May. I think I just didn't see consistent results with my macarons with their product. So you could try switching with those oil spots. You could try switching your almond flour and baking longer if you think that it's an issue of not being baked enough. Sometimes the tops will get soft and oily if you take them out too soon, or if your oven temp is too low, or if your food coloring is not like a gel paste or something and you're adding too much liquid in. Oh yes, if they're not drying out. Thank you. And then back to, if your macs are not drying out, it could be, you know, humidity, or you're over mixing your batter and it's too wet and it's just not drying. Hello, let's see. Abdullah, 13-year-old from Saudi Arabia. Thank you for joining in. I know I try to do them Mondays, so if I'm going to be moving soon, so I'm trying to get as many Mondays in as possible before the move, because I might have a little break. once we get into a new kitchen, it'll be fun with you guys to test out my new oven. So I feel like that will be a fun live, is to see how the new oven works whenever we figure out where we're living. Someone asked how to get these piping bags, and that is going to be either you can go online, shoptheflourgirl.com, and it's Flour for flour. I'll put a link in the description at the end of this as well, but you can either do shoptheflourgirl.com, or you can check out on Instagram the handle shoptheflourgirl, and then in the bio or whatever page, the profile page, it will have a direct link. Should we open almond flour? I keep it in the refrigerator. Let me check this because I always forget about my... Oh. Okay, we're gonna do 1 more minute in that oven. They were still a little bit they weren't sturdy when I pushed down on them. So I keep my almond flour in the fridge. I actually keep my extra almond flour because I get a lot at once, and I keep that in a freezer. And then the night before I'm going to use it, or 2 nights before, I take it out at room temperature to defrost. So I keep my almond flour in another Ziploc bag because this one never seals very well. So you want to make sure, if you do keep it in the fridge, that it's going to be in a airtight container so it doesn't create or get moisture, pick up moisture from your fridge. But I keep it in for freshness. And then when you scale it out, make sure you use it when it is at room temperature. And I just do that because I have so much almond flour that I just want it to stay fresh. Like in pastry school as well, we kept all of our almond flours, and they would be all of our nut flours and nuts in the freezer, and then we'd take them out to the fridge when we were about to use them. Let me get these Macs out. Here we go, guys. The colors are so pretty. We'll let those cool before we pick them up and see how they turned out. Oh, okay, so that's good to know. You can get a business license at 15.5, so you can make your own business, but you have, and then if you were younger, you could always get like a parent to sign off on it probably. Oh, cottage food at 12. JC, weren't you wondering about if you could do that? Thank you for the information. Okay. Pistachio filling. If you're using a filling, I recommend the highest quality white chocolate. If you're using white chocolate, not baking chocolate. So like, let me get my white chocolate real fast. So obviously Valrhona is really good. It's expensive and it can break the bank. Calabo chocolate is really nice. I get this at Restaurant Depot, and it's a good quality. If you use cheaper brands like the chocolate chip brand, like Ghirardelli or something like that, Guittard is really good too. But if you use like Nestle or like Toll House or Ghirardelli, it's gonna be too liquidy. It doesn't solidify. It's too waxy. Let's see here. Cocoa berry is really good as well. Yes, that's a great one. Cacao berry. I don't know. I think I said that incorrectly. Someone asked about Flower Girl. Shop. I think that would be the link for her website. What's the sign? So what's the sign of an overbeaten meringue? That's a great question. If it starts to look excessively dry and almost separated, that's when you know you've overmixed your meringue. If you've lost that glossiness, you've gone too far. Would you find those brands in, where are you? In South Africa. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Calibo and cocoa berry. I used to always say cocoa berry, but I think I'm saying it wrong now that I read the actual letters. I think you might be able to find those. Those are international brands. This is Belgian chocolate. So you could definitely look, see if they ship to you. I don't know if you have a restaurant supply store near you, but you could also check that out if you have a business license. What filling suits your taste and best for macaron? I always like a tart filling, like a passion fruit, a grapefruit, a jam, like a berry tart jam, you know, with some lemon juice in there. Curds, even though I couldn't sell curds, like a lemon curd and vanilla or something. I always like tart. That's my preference for fillings. And then just like classic ones like pistachio. Chewy Macarons. Someone asked, and I think I've seen a lot of Chewy Macs going through the feed, and I'm sorry I haven't addressed that. I feel like my Macs are chewy, so I am, and I don't know if that's, you don't want that. I feel like once you fill and mature, the goal is to get a nice crunch of the shell with a chewy inside. So you get those two different textures, and it's really a nice mouthfeel. So is your macaron like soggy chewy, or like what is off-putting about that? So I was just baking these, right? Let me get a glove, because we might do a giveaway for locals soon. Okay, one sec. All right. So how to tell when they're ready. Macarons will definitely differ in your oven, but what I do is I tap down on them, and if the feet are sturdy, they're done. So like I push down like this, I push down on the top of it, and if it caves at all or if it goes down, then I know it's not ready yet. You can sometimes even see a little bit of moisture that's in the feet still, and you just know that you still have to bake. They're not baked all the way through. My mask is not staying up as I talk. Emerald asked, on a scale from 1 to 10, how hard are Macs? Sorry guys, now I'm defeating the purpose of this. You know what? If you practice them, they're really not that hard. I'd say a 5, just because of the difficulty of learning your own home kitchen. But once you find the recipe that works for your environment and your oven, and you get that macaronage down, it's really, like, of course you're going to still have failed attempts because of bad weather or whatever that may be. But once you get it down and you know that how the batter should feel, it really isn't too it's still challenging and they're finicky, but it doesn't mean you can't win, you know? Does that make sense? Okay, so they're chewy when they come out of the oven. Let me see. Okay, so maybe you're baking too long. If your macs are chewy when they first come out of the oven and then they get too hard, it's probably over baked. Maybe bake 2 minutes less. Maybe I'll do a filling one on curd, a filling video on a curd. It's usually just egg yolks or whole eggs, and you mix them with your like lemon juice or whatever kind of fruit you want to add to it, and you cook and you add butter into it. It's really yummy. Someone said that their color fades. I would lower your oven temperature and bake longer and lower. These ones don't match up. See, they're nice and pretty. They don't feel too heavy. Okay. The fading of color could definitely be, sorry, as I try to, see there's a really big gap in this actually. If you guys can see that. If I push it up, well, let me do a different one. These aren't the best, guys. Oh, I broke it. See, I broke it. But there's a nice big gap on these ones. What I was trying to show you before I broke it is that once you fill it up, you can even push, because no, these are not perfect. You can even, gosh, I was wearing a mask in my house because if I do a giveaway and I give these Macs away, I don't want to be breathing on them. But if you push your bottom up a little bit, when you fill, it'll fill up that hole too. I'm spilling bits because I keep sharing. Keep spilling. Here. Okay, let me try this again. If you push the bottom like this a little bit, and then it gives a nice little indent where you're gonna fill, then you fill up your macarons, mature them, and you won't even tell that there's that hollow. And this is a big hollow too. Like, it's not my best batch, but see, can you see that gap is quite large? But you know what, there's enough meat in there that I would still sell these. You can't lose that much product if you're in a business, at least. You can't, and make sure they're matured properly, or else when you bite down, you will notice that huge hollow. But when you're in a business, you can't throw away that much product, right? You have to think, and they are perfectly good. You just push that bottom in, fill it up. But I wouldn't be, you know, you have to make sure that you're proud of your product too. So if you have a problem with that, then you don't need to. but you might lose out on a lot of money if you're throwing away batches, too many batches. Yes, they do still taste great, and it bothers me. I'm not gonna lie, that gap was big. So I should have macaronaged a little bit more for this time. Stacy asked if I've ever tried not resting my Macs with the French method, and I have once and it worked, and I've tried other times and it hasn't. So I prefer just resting and knowing that they're gonna work. But I've heard that if you use, there's a certain ratio, if you have more almond flour in your recipe, then it usually does well not resting. So if you are looking for a no rest recipe, definitely check the interwebs for that. Okay guys, let's see. Someone asked if I just used French method for this. French meringue method. Does colder temperature affect your macarons? I don't think so. It's more the humidity that you have to worry about. So, but I always bake really in, right now it's 74 in here, but I like to have my air conditioner on and have cold temperatures. But I don't think heat or cold is what really affects it. I think it's more the humidity in the air. Yeah, you know, when they're warm, when the macarons are warm and they first come out of the oven, they can be softer. And then once they cool and harden, they get harder. So that's definitely normal, and you could bake a couple minutes less to help that. Where do I get my gloves from? These I got for free as a gift from an environmental company. They're biodegradable gloves, which are great, but they have a powder in them, which I hear now is not restaurant grade, so I would not purchase these ones, unfortunately. As much as I want to save the planet, it's having that powder is not good. So I like to go to Restaurant Depot and I get gloves from there, and they have different brands and all that kind of stuff, but that's where I get mine. You're the best, Calvin. Let's see here. So a couple more questions. I don't have a fan in my oven, just a regular crappy conventional oven. How long can I conserve? How long do Macs keep? That's a great question. Please, no apologies for the English, you did well. Macarons depend on the amount of time they last, depends on what filling you're gonna put in them. So if it's a cream filling, it could be a little wet and they might get too soggy. So you wanna make sure that you take into consideration the filling. A wet filling will reduce your shelf life. A filling like a ganache that hardens up, or Dora, you are way too kind. Let me look at that 1 second. If you have hollows like that, to macaronage a little longer. Thank you. It's so sweet. Yeah, macaronaging a little bit more, knocking out a little bit more air will help that kind of hollow. And you could also increase your oven temperature a tiny bit if you're consistently having that issue which I did, that hole, which I kind of made non-existent because I cheated. But yes. I forgot what I was saying previously. I know my oven is just conventional. Oh, fillings. So if you are doing like a buttercream or a ganache that hardens up, it's gonna last longer. Keep it in an airtight container to make the best of the shelf life, and freeze it. If you want to, 2%. Freeze it if you want to last even longer. Like if you're not gonna eat them for a week, but you wanna make them in advance, they freeze great. Airtight container, and then put them into the fridge to help them go back to temperature. Dora, did I answer that question? I mean, was there more to say? I want to make sure I read correctly. Okay, let's see here. A macaron, yeah, someone said something about a cake, macaron cake or something. What's the best temperature for macarons? It depends on your oven, but I like lower and slower. I do about, the actual reading in my oven is about 285 to 290. Oh no, you are. Gosh, you guys are so kind. Because you can't sell food that needs to be refrigerated. Correct. Someone said, since you can't sell food that needs to be refrigerated, does that mean you can't use meringue based buttercreams? And in my experience, I could not get those passed. I have someone that lives in Pasadena that she uses Italian meringue fillings, and she got them passed. So it actually depends on who reviews your content, who reviews your labels. It's frustrating that it would, like, I feel like an Italian meringue or a Swiss meringue buttercream is superior to American buttercream, specifically for filling macarons, because American buttercream is pretty sweet. And it's frustrating, like, oh, she got that passed, so I feel like that product might be better than mine. But you know what? You can make yours. In the end, do your best. Hopefully there'll be more. I tried to have an interview with a environmental health worker. She gave me some answers over email, but I just feel like a forum, like a better place to have uniformity between bakers would be really good for us, because it does get frustrating. But nope, no meringue for me. No meringue based buttercreams. I prefer French method macarons for the sake of the quickness, and you can make lots of batches, and you don't have to wait for a sugar syrup to heat up. Someone said, oh, you guys, now you're making me uncomfortable with the comments. I don't take compliments well, so thank you. I appreciate it. We can move on to macarons. What brand almond meal do you use? I use almond meal. I use Blue Diamond. I know it's backwards, but I use Blue Diamond almond meal. I've used King Arthur. I like that as well, but it's more expensive. I like the price point of Blue Diamond. I keep saying Blue Almond, I think. I like the price point and the product results, so that's why I use that. So what might be the problem with concave shells is that I'm on 1%. I have to, oh. Trang, are you losing battery? Hopefully I'll stop soon, so I'm not taking all your guys' time. But concave shells usually means that heat, your conduction of heat is not high enough, and you're gonna wanna increase your temperature of your oven. I have these a lot when I try to do air bake trays. They have a insulated middle in the tray. I'm not using words well, but they have an insulated pan. They're insulated, so you don't brown, so you get no browning, right? But then they don't conduct enough heat, especially if you're adding a silicone mat on top of that. Bye, Lee. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good night. Sleep well. I don't do a food processor with my almond meal. This is fine enough. I feel like my shells are pretty smooth, so I don't feel the need to dirty another dish. Oh, good. You tried. Someone from Greece said that they tried my advice. I'm so glad it worked. Awesome job. So Sophie said hers deflate when, I could go on forever, but I need to stop. Someone said that their macarons deflate when they take them out of the oven, so you're gonna have to bake longer, and it also could be an issue of your meringue. Oh, good. Dora, I can't wait to see it. I love seeing your creations. I loved your bananas. Yeah, so I hear that Get Suckered has really good cotton candy flavors. I don't use, someone asked about how many eggs, I believe, in the recipe you're asking, and I don't use a number of eggs, I just use a measurement. So, like, I think I opened up 4 eggs, and then I have this much left over. So I just do measurements. I don't do amount of eggs, if that makes sense. And then I just use this in the next batch. Do I decorate my macarons with Stencil or Airbrush? I have tried both, and like I just did, I posted on Instagram the Batman macarons. I had my first order last week in months because of COVID, which was really fun to finally get an order out the door. And I used an airbrush on that with a stencil I made. How long do I age my egg whites for? These were out since last night. I sometimes will just get them to room temperature. Sometimes I'll leave them out a night. But if it's more than that, I'll put them in the fridge and then take them out to get to room temperature. So I don't usually leave them out more than a day, 8 hours. But you could leave them out longer. Someone asked if putting all your dry ingredients at once. Can I have one of those, please? I will gladly give them to you. Someone asked if putting all your dry ingredients in at once when you're mixing in your dries to your meringue, I'm assuming, if that would affect anything. No. I was actually taught to do it all at once. It really depends on your preference with that. Some people see it as if you're doing it in batches of dries, adding it in different additions, they see it as, you know, like you have more control to get all those dries incorporated. And some see it as if you do all at once, you're less likely to overmix. So it really depends on your mindset and what you prefer. If you're not getting feet, I would try raising your temperature of your oven if you're sure about everything else. Does it make your shells not crunchy? Someone asked if airbrushing makes your shells not crunchy. I have not experienced that. So it is not where it doesn't make it too wet and soggy at all. It dries up really nicely. The main ingredient in airbrushing colors I don't even know what these things are. I'm looking at an airbrushing color, but I was waiting. Oh, water, water, water. I was reading the wrong language. So there's, I don't know what most of these things are, but water is the main ingredient. But no, it tends to dry really well. So I'm trying to learn, sorry. QB. Well, I'm excited for you to try your second time. Mine would have flopped too if I tried at home first. What size sheet pans are yours? Oh, I didn't ever talk about the silicone mats like I said I was going to. These big guys are, I think they're like 17 by 13, let's see. It says it's 20 inches long and about 13 and a half wide. So that's how big these larger sheet pans are. And the silicone mats are about that too, a little bit less. About 19, a little bit less. I think it's probably 18 and a half long and 13 width. Christmas time. If you're in Portland, you can have some. Yes, I know, Tina. I heard that in Canada you can get them right now, but because of COVID, things aren't getting restocked. Hopefully they will be restocked soon, because honestly, it really helps with time management and efficiency when you're baking to have a large pan. And my pan is upside down because when I bake, it helps with airflow in my oven. My oven doesn't have a fan, and it's kind of a piece. So when I have it turn the other way, these block airflow, and then all of my edges of my macarons are get lopsided. The ones on the edge that aren't getting the best airflow. So that's why I flip it over. I learned that from Dee's Delightful Sweets. She's in Florida. Okay, guys. Someone else asked if it's better to do one batch at a time. No, you can definitely, if you're needing to do a larger batch, double it. So then it's not twice your work. It's fine if they rest longer. When you take this recipe and triple it and stuff, then you could get into issues if they're resting for too long. But usually just doubling it is perfectly fine. If I have 3 trays, that's fine. If I have more, then I get into problems. When I rest too long, my shells become fragile. The batter tends to break down a little bit. If there's a way to send me someone asked if I can send, there's a way to send photos of the macaron. What do you need the photos for? I know. Dora, I've lived here for 7 years. It's so weird that I'm moving. It's not real. Like, haven't packed anything yet, so I'm sad too. Okay, guys. I don't know what a cooking level is, if that's like on my mixer or something. Oh, okay, so you're in Seattle. Well, then we will be close. Yeah, I'll get you some macarons for Christmas. I'll be close to you. I'm not sure, in general, my cooking level. I definitely don't cook savory, if that's what you mean. in general. Yeah, I am trained to be a pastry chef. I've worked in restaurants and bakeries, Chicago, Los Angeles, and Alsace, France. You can judge. Zero, thanks so much. You're welcome. All right. All right, guys, I'm going to peace out now. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thank you, Dora, for your generous gift. And, oh, you're in California. Oh, okay. Thank you, Bailey. Oh, bummer. I thought we were going to be closer, so now I'm moving away from you. Okay. Well, thank you all. I learned to be a pastry chef at culinary school, specifically pastry school. So you can check out, if you're interested, the French pastry school in Chicago. That's where I went. It's awesome. If you're interested in continuing education there, it's a really great school. Rochester. Sounds good. I mean, we could go anywhere. We're always moving around for my husband's, wherever we get matched or settled. Thank you. Much love to everyone. I'm so glad. Have that confidence. Have confidence while you make your Macs. Spread love. Much love to you guys. Yay for all this. Hopefully the next stream will be next Monday. I try to do these on Mondays. And I'm so glad I did today. You guys definitely were a good bunch. Thanks so much, honestly. Much love. Love you guys. Love you too. Yes, the next time, go in. The biggest thing I can say when you go into macaron making, go in not timid. You want to be confident. You're going to rock it. Just notice on those key points of the macaronage. When you're doing your meringue, your macaronaging, those types of things, just pay extra attention. And you're going to rock it out of the park. All right, guys. Hi to my kids. Thank you. I will tell them. They're upstairs. I banned them to my room. Okay, much love. Peace. One finger, two fingers. How do I stop it? I stop it here. Love you guys.